My husband's lies started with one text message. It wasn't a text from another woman, or anything overtly suspicious at first glance. It was a simple, almost innocuous message from his boss, asking him to stay late. We had plans that evening, dinner with my parents, a rare and cherished occasion given their increasingly busy schedules and our own demanding careers. He showed me the text, a slight frown of genuine regret, or so I believed, on his face, and apologized profusely. He explained that he'd try to make it as soon as he possibly could, but work was absolutely crazy. A whirlwind of deadlines and unexpected demands. I, of course, understood completely. We'd been together for what felt like an eternity, since our formative years in college. Navigating the complexities of adulthood hand in hand, and trust was the absolute, unshakable bedrock of our relationship. I never questioned his honesty, not once, not even for a fleeting second. We had meticulously built a beautiful life together, a comfortable home filled with shared memories and future dreams, a profound and intuitive understanding that felt truly unbreakable. We had weathered countless storms, the terrifying financial downturns that threatened to swallow us whole, the heartbreaking family crises that tested our resilience, and even the occasional petty arguments over trivial matters, always emerging stronger, bound by open communication and unwavering loyalty. He was, without a doubt, my rock, my most trusted confidant, my absolute best friend. The mere idea that he would intentionally deceive me, that he would knowingly orchestrate a lie, was simply unthinkable, a concept entirely alien to our shared reality. So, with a sigh, I went to dinner alone, carefully explaining his unfortunate absence to my parents, who were, as always, incredibly understanding and supportive. They knew all too well how demanding his high-pressure job could be, often requiring long, unpredictable hours. I made light of it, even managing a small, wry smile, as I told them he was simply a dedicated worker. Which, to be fair, he genuinely was. When he finally came home later that night, well past midnight, the house eerily quiet, he looked utterly exhausted, his shoulders slumped, his eyes heavy-lidded. He offered me a tender kiss, his lips brushing my forehead, and apologized again, his voice thick with what I perceived as genuine remorse for missing dinner and disappointing everyone. Then, almost immediately, he promptly fell into a deep, dreamless sleep. I felt a familiar pang of disappointment, a subtle ache that I quickly brushed off, rationalizing it away. It was, after all, just one single night. The next morning, as he was sleepily getting ready for work, the gentle sounds of his routine echoing through the quiet house, I noticed his phone lying innocently on the bedside table. A new message notification flashed brightly across the screen, a tiny beacon of information. It was from his boss again, a follow-up to the previous night's alleged work marathon. My eyes, almost involuntarily, drawn by a magnetic, inexplicable pull, scanned the first few words of the preview. They weren't about staying late, or an urgent project, or a mountain of paperwork. No, they were about a successful client meeting, a congratulatory message, a mention of a celebration, and a heartfelt thanks for his exceptional hard work. My stomach, a tight knot of dread, dropped precipitously. A successful client meeting? A celebratory gathering? But he had told me, quite emphatically, that he was working late, slogging through endless paperwork, battling spreadsheets and reports. The two narratives didn't align, they clashed, jarringly, creating a dissonant chord in my mind. My heart began to pound a frantic, irregular rhythm in my chest. A drumbeat of growing apprehension. A cold, unsettling sensation, like a creeping shadow, began to spread through me, chilling me to the core. It was a tiny, almost imperceptible crack in the once impregnable foundation of our trust. A hairline fracture that, once noticed, could not be unseen. I desperately tried to rationalize it away, to conjure up plausible explanations. Perhaps he had a client meeting and then stayed late to catch up on other tasks. Perhaps his boss was simply being overly effusive in his praise. A common corporate platitude. Perhaps I was, as I often tended to be, overthinking it, allowing my mind to wander into the realm of paranoia. But the seed of doubt, once planted, had taken root. It began to sprout, slowly at first, an insidious tendril curling around my thoughts. Then more rapidly, fueled by a growing, persistent unease that gnawed at the edges of my peace of mind. I found myself obsessively replaying his words from the night before, his earnest apologies, his seemingly genuine exhaustion, dissecting every syllable, every inflection. Was it an elaborate act? My mind reeled, a chaotic whirlwind of unanswered questions and terrifying possibilities. I wanted, with every fiber of my being, to confront him, to demand a full, unequivocal explanation, to tear down this wall of uncertainty. But something powerful held me back. Fear, I now realize, a cold, paralyzing fear. Fear of what I might ultimately uncover. Fear of shattering the comfortable, carefully constructed illusion I had so meticulously built around our seemingly perfect relationship. I decided, with a heavy heart, to observe, to watch for other, more concrete signs, to become a silent, clandestine investigator in my own life. It felt devious, almost manipulative, a profound betrayal of my own deeply held principles and ethical boundaries. But I simply couldn't stop myself. The next few weeks were a disorienting blur of heightened awareness, an exhausting vigilance that permeated my every waking moment. I began to notice little things, subtle shifts in his behavior, things I would have casually dismissed as insignificant before. He started being a little more secretive with his phone, always placing it face down on surfaces, almost protectively, or taking it with him when he momentarily left the room. A departure from his usual carefree habits. He began to come home later more frequently, almost as a matter of routine. Always with a meticulously crafted, perfectly plausible explanation ready at hand. A new, urgent project had unexpectedly cropped up. An unforeseen deadline demanded his immediate attention. A crucial team meeting ran significantly over schedule. Each excuse was carefully constructed, delivered with a practiced conviction. A sincerity that almost convinced me, quieted the gnawing doubts, and lulled me into a false sense of security. But the tiny crack, once a hairline fracture, was widening with each passing day. The insidious seed of doubt had now become a thorny, overgrown bush. Its sharp, painful tendrils, wrapping tightly around my heart, squeezing the joy from my days. I found myself engaging in increasingly desperate and shameful acts, searching his pockets before doing laundry, my fingers trembling as I explored the seams, surreptitiously scanning his emails when he carelessly left his laptop open on the kitchen counter. My breath held tight in my chest. These were desperate acts that felt completely out of character for the person I believed myself to be, a person who valued privacy and trust above all else. I found nothing overtly concrete, no smoking gun, just a perplexing accumulation of small inconsistencies. More elusive threads that refused to weave into the perfect, seamless tapestry. he so carefully presented to the world, and to me. One particularly late evening, after yet another unexplained, protracted night at work. He was in the shower, the steady rush of water, a rhythmic backdrop to my internal turmoil. His phone buzzed softly on the bathroom counter, a gentle vibration that nonetheless echoed like a thunderclap in my anxious mind. It was a message from an unfamiliar number, a name conspicuously absent. Curiosity, a burning, irresistible flame, mixed with a chilling, bone-deep dread, propelled me towards it, my body moving on autopilot. I picked it up, my hands trembling uncontrollably, the cold metal of the phone, a stark contrast to the burning heat in my cheeks. The message, stark and unambiguous, read, "Had a great time tonight. Can't wait to see you again soon." My breath caught sharply in my throat, a gasp trapped somewhere between my chest and my lips. It wasn't his boss. It wasn't a casual colleague or a work acquaintance. It was undeniably personal. It was intimate. It was a brutal, physical blow that stole all the air from my lungs, leaving me gasping for breath in a sudden, suffocating vacuum. The carefully constructed facade of our life together, the comfortable illusion I had so desperately clung to, crumbled around me in an instant. Like a house of cards caught in a gale, the accumulation of little lies, the nagging inconsistencies, the growing, pervasive doubts, they all converged into a single, horrifying, undeniable truth. He was having an affair. The weight of that devastating realization was crushing, an unbearable burden that pressed down on me, threatening to flatten me entirely. My world, which had felt so incredibly secure, so utterly predictable and safe just weeks before, was now a chaotic, terrifying mess of shattered trust and raw, excruciating pain. I felt a visceral ache deep in my chest, a burning, acidic sensation behind my eyes that signaled the impending flood.